What is going on, Panthers fans? Welcome back to another episode of MIA. Now, this episode right here is going to be exclusively on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, drop a subscription, drop a follow, like the video for me. As you can see by the title, today we're going to be talking about Matthew Tkachuk and what we're getting for all the Panthers fans, what I've kind of dug and found out about him. And, just really kind of just diving in because most of us Panthers fans probably don't know a lot about him. First and foremost, though, before I get into that, I just want to mention that other than YouTube, of course, we have our episodes on Apple, so you can find them on Apple Podcasts. We got 2 episodes up so far. And my plan with these episodes is to make some YouTube exclusive content, but then also some podcast content as well too. But we're also on Instagram as well. So it's miami.in.action on Instagram, and also on Twitter, Miami in action, 1I in action. So if you want to drop a follow, show some love, greatly appreciate it. Goes a long way for sure. And I appreciate all the views from the video last night. We definitely got by far the most views we've ever had. Also the thumbs up. I appreciate the thumbs up from everybody. I think currently I saw like 8 or 10 thumbs up. That's awesome. Over like 11 or 12 subscribers now. Like, honestly, guys and girls, I greatly appreciate all the support. It's honestly been amazing. But like I said, this video, we're here to talk about Matthew Tkachuk, right? Who are we getting? What type of player do we feel like he's going to end up being here in the Panthers? Where does he kind of fit in? First and foremost, I do just want to say that I personally did not know a ton about him. And while I do follow quite a bit of hockey players, I don't necessarily follow the up north teams. I'm definitely more of the in our conference type of follower. Obviously following, of course, the Panthers heavy. So definitely sat down, watched a lot of highlights, a lot of tape, a lot of feedback, comments from videos, YouTube videos on, like, I'm assuming Calgary fans or Flames fans, and I realized that first and foremost, when I was diving into this, in my last video, if you want to check that out, definitely, where I kind of talk more about the trade and the value and where I think the Panthers kind of stand with the trade and Bill Zito. But what I really want to talk about was just more so Tkachuk. What type of player is he, and where does he kind of fit in, right? So, first and foremost, when I was watching the highlight videos, first thing that really stuck out was I really saw a lot of Huberdeau-like passes, honestly. I saw the between the legs. I saw him get it off the board and, like, no look pass it to a guy shooting in towards the net. I honestly saw a lot of the same style play that I see with Huberdeau. I was honestly a little impressed by that. I didn't think, man, there's a lot of similarities in the type of passing and the type of plays they create. I was definitely, and now for clarity, I watched some previous years, but a lot of what I was watching was definitely last year because obviously that was his 104-point season. But literally the same stuff that Huberdeau would do, those crazy under the leg passes. I mean, obviously the game is changing. These younger guns are definitely bringing the sauce, if you will. So that was the first thing that really kind of stuck out to me. The other big one that I did discuss a little bit in the last video was, and don't get me wrong, there was a lot of videos I watched where it was all of his goals for the season and highlights, and obviously those showed the best and not just like everything as a player. I did watch some videos though too where it was just him just playing in games and not necessarily scoring but just contributing. what I noticed and what I spoke to last night, just based on his stats alone, is definitely seemed more of a shoot first person, right? Definitely had the pass, definitely had the sauce, but definitely shot first in a lot of situations that I literally, as I was watching these videos, was like, Huberdeau would have made a pass right there. Huberdeau would have probably passed to this guy really quick. Shots that weren't exactly like bam right in front of the net, like there's zero reason to pass it. There was those passes that he received where it literally could have been a 50-50, right? You could have predicted that he would have passed it back or passed it to another guy on the other opposite corner, or would have took the shot. And a lot of the situations I saw, he took the shot. And clearly with, I think it was 46 goals he had last season, capitalized on that. So was really impressed, and pretty much definitely could kind of tell just by his stats that a lot more shoot first situations where I literally would have seen Huberdeau pass in that situation. And obviously, listen, they both got over 100 points last season, right? So things were clicking either way. But when you think about going deep into the playoffs, that pass happy stuff ain't gonna cut it. We need goals, and we need to understand that every shot that is taken in the playoffs is important, very important. So I was first and really impressed with that. The other thing that really kind of stood out to me in a lot of the highlights I watched was amazing skill in tipping the puck. Lot of on ice tips, a lot of in the air tips. I was kind of really impressed with that. A lot of nice goals, just being kind of in front or kind of near the net and tipping the passes in. You didn't really see that a lot from Huberdeau. You didn't really see a lot of, Huberdeau was definitely more that outside perimeter guy, not that center tipping the shots and different things like that. Kind of gave me slight Hornquist vibes a little bit. Just a guy who will get in the front of the net and do what needs to be done. Kind of like a Hornquist and like a Barkov had a baby when it comes to like the tipping skills. Barkov definitely, he's definitely got that sauce with the tipping, but that was something that I was kind of really impressed with. Was the goals that he made from a tip pass, like I said, on the ground, in the air. Really impressed with that. Of course, if most of you don't know, Panthers fans, Matthew Tkachuk was an assistant captain. He did wear the A on his jersey, on the sweater. So clearly that franchise and that head coaching staff, saw potential in leadership and in captain, and that A is a serious deal, right? So obviously, he brought the skills. I'm sure, he was one of the top franchise guys, just like Jonathan Huberdeau was. But that is something to kind of think about, Panthers fans, is what type of player are we getting off the ice as well, too, right? Like, we only really can kind of tell you what we're getting on the ice because that's what we see, right? But what are we getting off the ice? Are we getting a more vocal player? Are we getting somebody who, is going to kind of rally the troops and bring up the team, like a Hornquist, in my opinion? That's going to be very interesting to see. But, I mean, the man doesn't have an A for no reason, right? He's got an A because he can play. But he's probably got an A because he can probably, help talk to the team when they're in a hole during the first intermission or the second intermission. So, definitely kind of really something to note there. Let's see, what else do I have? So let's kind of talk about some of the things I did notice that didn't necessarily impress me. First and foremost, it seems like that Tkachuk definitely is a little bit more of a fighter. I kind of get like a Sam Bennett vibes when I was watching a lot of his gameplay and just based on kind of what people were saying. Saw a lot of people in the YouTube comments. Once again, I'm assuming Flames fans, just the way they were talking. Definitely a lot of fighting going on. So, is that a maturity thing, right? He's 24 years old. Let's not forget. I'm assuming can talk a lot and clearly can walk a lot too. But I'd be really interested to see on the week-to-week, the day-to-day games, how much fighting he is still going to be doing and, how detriment that can cost to his team. And then, of course, I'm sure one of the most obvious ones, he is 24, right? Definitely probably still has some room to mature. And I think that, that's hopefully something that him coming to the Panthers, changing up the team, obviously getting paid the big bucks now. We want to hope that he will tighten that up and understand that, those penalty minutes mean everything, especially in the playoffs. So that is some of the few things that I definitely noticed when I was watching a lot of his videos. Now, really kind of curious to see, assuming that he's going to be playing on that second line, probably with a Sam Bennett, and probably maybe with a, people are saying some of the new people that we picked up as the right winger, or potentially a Reinhardt. Gonna be very curious to see, but I do ultimately love the aggressiveness. I love the aggressiveness from him. Excuse me. I love the shoot first mentality. American born player, which is really cool as well too. Obviously Huberdeau coming from Canada, and Barkov is the Finland guy. Kind of cool to see another American-born player get back in the mix here in Florida. Last really notable American-born player was Tkachuk, and hats off to Tkachuk. He got a nice contract from the Rangers, and the Rangers aren't going anywhere. So I think he's definitely set himself up for success as well. But more so back to the Panthers, of course. Yeah, I think that by looking at the video, I really think that we have somebody who has the things we can't teach, and I think we have somebody who has the things that he needs to work on, that we ultimately can teach, right? Being less aggressive with maybe the trash talking or the fighting or anything like that, right? Continuing to mature. But can score goals, can pass, can put the puck in the net. Has been to the playoffs now a little bit and much deeper. But also, scoring on a high level. The Flames were rolling, man. I mean, the Flames, to me, once the Panthers got eliminated, that was the closest high offensive team. Well, maybe Colorado as well too, but Colorado and the Flames were some of the most high offensive, teams. So I can assume that the transition to the Panthers is probably going to be a lot smoother than what we would probably generally expect. High offense. I expect another high offense. Once again, in my last video, I kind of spoke about it a little bit, but I did want to kind of talk about it a little bit more. But, changing up this core, I think this gives Alexander Barkov. I think it honestly, in a good way, doesn't make him feel so comfortable. And, of course, they're potentially not going to be playing all the time, right? You would assume that Barkov is probably going to be playing that first line. Tkachuk is probably going to be playing that second line. But, I think that they're they're not going to be as comfortable together. And I think that's, like, in my opinion, I think that's a good thing. I think that really kind of spices things up, and, maybe it makes Barkov elevate his game because, oh, they just traded for this big time left winger. Like, I thought I was the face of the franchise. Like, this kid's 24, I'm 30, right? I'm the captain. I got the C, but this kid and Anton Lundell really are kind of our future. And of course Spencer Knight, and ultimately, this will free up some space to be able to sign Spencer Knight and to really kind of, like I said last night, protect the future. So I'm honestly really excited. It's still, after processing this about, close to about 20 hours or so into the news of the trade, I'm still getting the same vibe. I think this is a trade that needed to happen if we wanted to protect our future. Now, is this a trade that would have happened if Tkachuk wasn't, didn't put out the fact that he wasn't going to sign and put Florida in his list? And let's just pause and kind of think about something for a minute, right? Like, us as Florida fans, we've been so accustomed to, like, mediocre and kind of the hand-me-down players, if you will. Let's be appreciative and think about this for a minute. And a lot of other teams might overlook this aspect, but us being the Panthers, we got to kind of humble ourselves a little bit. And what I think about is the fact that a player of Tkachuk's caliber put the Panthers on his list of destinations. Like, we need to think and understand what that means. And the same thing last year with Claude Giroux, right? And technically Ben Sherratt, These guys wanted to come play for the Panthers. And ultimately, if we had the money, they would still be a Panther, most likely. So, the fact that we are in the realm of conversations now with some of this top talent just goes to show the type of organization that we've been continuously building, and the GM that Bill Zito is, and his aggressiveness to want to win and be there, and even from the higher up, right, from the owners and stuff like that. Like, you got to kind of think that it still surprises me to this day when I saw the Tkachuk wasn't going to sign and Florida was one of his destinations. And honestly, I kind of blew it over. It was something that it's like, wow, like, that's really cool. That'd be great to have him, but the odds of that, I mean, come on. But clearly I was wrong. It was, they must have saw a window and saw a future, and they kind of pulled the trigger on it. So, once again, hats off to Bill Zito, in my opinion. But to be fair, the Flames are getting some hell of some players as well too, right? You're getting Huberdeau coming off his best season as well. You're getting Weegar, who, potentially still has a lot left on the table. The one big thing is going to be if they're gonna be able to re-sign those players, and if they don't, then how does this trade look then, right? We already locked up Tkachuk, so we're good to go on that end, but. Really, really excited for this season, honestly. Don't get me wrong, Panthers fans. Like, don't expect last year to happen again. And I don't even care if we had every single player come back, right? Like, we have to understand that last year, while of course we are a much better team than years past, and I hope that we continue to at least stay on that consistent level of top seeded area. I think that you have to understand that next year, if we get 105 points or 100 and over 100 points, like, that's what I'm personally expecting, no matter who's on this team. So, very, very excited for the future. Very excited to see how Tkachuk fits in. Very excited for the new coach. I think that for what we had going into this offseason, I really do think we made the most of it. And just to kind of wrap up this video, I did see some media swirling around, not 100% sure if it's true or not, but basically was saying that I guess the instant reaction is Jonathan Huberdeau is feeling, some type of way about this trade, and the last time they had talked, they were in negotiations and kind of left it at that. And obviously, I'm assuming got a phone call saying, "Hey, you're going off to Calgary." So, that's very unfortunate. But at the end of the day, it's business, and this is something that just has to happen in business. So that's going to kind of do it for me. Like I said, I just wanted to make this YouTube exclusive video. This isn't going to be going on the podcast, so don't expect to see that. But I did just want to kind of highlight Tkachuk a little bit, highlight a little bit more of the trade. Now that it's kind of soaked in, kind of got a better head, better mindset about it. Super excited. I'm curious to see what y'all think. Let me know down in the comments. I've seen a lot of comments from the last video on the trade and who we're getting and stuff like that. And honestly, a lot of people are saying a lot of positive things, so I appreciate that. But I am still curious to see what you kind of think of the trade, what you think of Tkachuk on the Panthers, where you think Jonathan Huberdeau, and Mackenzie Weegar, how they're going to fare out and play for the Flames, and if they get re-signed. Really curious to hear that. Once again, if you like the videos, drop a like. Appreciate the love. Drop a sub if you want to stay in tuned. And yeah, guys, we'll see you on the next one. All right, take care. Later.